Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
On the written schedule, it's at 8:30 a.m. for the morning announcements for today. Would that have been 8:30 a.m.
All
EST?
times in an EST, but I thought, okay, nobody's really gonna want to get up at 7:30. So we're just gonna have like short announcements right before the pitch workshop. So yeah, I explained that yesterday, but I definitely could have sent like a whole announcement.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, no
I was
problem.
up regardless, so
He's like, you're ready regardless.
yeah.
Yeah, how did you like the game yesterday?
It felt like the embodiment of insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It felt like every choice that I made, I was just like, did I do the right thing? Yeah, but that's the point, I guess. Like, the point is to just feel like you may not be making the right choice. And apparently there's like hidden endings and stuff like that. You just have to find them. Like, for example, we didn't pick up the phone, but we could pick up the phone.
I wonder who would have answered.
Apparently the wife of the protagonist would have answered. And the narrator explained that. I think it was just like some audio issues that are maybe happening. Yeah, but the narrator is unreliable.
Yeah, I know. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't hear you guys yet. 1 second. Same system. Where's your volume button right here? Oh, cool.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All righty. Is this everyone for this morning?
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
shook too.
On pitch prep?
Yeah, on pitch prep.
Man,
Yeah, someone said they're at the dentist this morning, so they said they'll try to join after.
that's just one person though.
Yeah, just one. Just one. You guys need to text your teammates, let them know. Get up already and head on in.
Melvin, what's happening, man? You doing all right?
Yes, sir. Currently whipping it up on the stove at the moment.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I love it. I love it. Devin, how you feeling? Hopefully he's feeling well.
Hey, Dom.
Jada.
How are you?
Oh, there's Devin. You doing all right, brother?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Jada, how you feeling?
Good.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Stretching it out this morning?
Yeah.
Keep stretching. Keep stretching. Keep stretching. Is it Dr. Carter or Greta? How should I address you?
I wish you could say doctor, but I'm ABD, so Greta works.
Awesome. You doing all right today?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
Hey,
good.
Dominic, did you
Yes,
tell
sir.
the students who the judges were going to be?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Oh,
I'm
you
leaving that
weren't
all up to
there?
you. So I'm waiting for your can I add a little something to that, brother? And I'm
Sure.
like, Dean, you know I'm not gonna slow you down. So see, I'm gonna let you provide that thunder. Indeed. We're gonna wait for a couple more people to hop on here and get
Yeah,
into a little.
we brought the real world to them.
Indeed. Indeed. You got Amir, you emailed back on the 1 p.m., right? Okay, sweet. I read your lips. I don't know what else you're saying, but you said yes. That's all I needed.
Sorry. I say, yeah, I'm making the calendar invite now.
Sweet. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, unless it's on somebody's calendar, they don't believe it's real.
Indeed. Indeed. I see a new name in the mix, Kim to Boston. You doing all right today?
Yes, sir. How about yourself?
I can't complain. Can't complain. Sweet.
Your man Dakari's on here.
Dakari, faithful. What are you talking about, man? Faithful. You got your oatmeal to the left or the
I
right?
got my grapes and my strawberries.
There we go. There we go.
Time.
There we go. I promise you the first thing I'm gonna do is eat some food right after this. So Dean, don't call me now. I gotta eat.
Oh, no problem.
All right, roughly about 4 more minutes and then we'll get cranking and rolling. It's probably the earliest morning session we've had, right, Amir? This is when you can tell who really has it, right? Like who's really like locked in because it's pitch prep. It's like the icing on the cake, you know? I mean, I see hovering around on some of you all's mural boards, leaving some comments. So if you still want comments and feedback, just continue to leave your updates in Miro. We'll be chiming in there, just providing some good comments and some feedback for you all. Saw someone did a pivot, slight pivot. It's pretty good. I was impressed. My neighbor was impressed too. I actually showed your pivot to my neighbor. I'm not gonna call the group out though. Don't want to be a spoiler alert. Everybody checked out the yoga videos in Miro? Yeah? You did some yoga, Melvin? No, sir. But the video looked good. No, sir. No, sir. Good stuff. Let me actually pull up Miro real quick. Mira, you let me know when you want to start, and I'll tee it off.
Yeah, and this
Just
is
hovering around the
recorded.
Miro.
So once it's up in Red House, it'll be the responsibility of the students to rewatch it. So
Sweet. I'm gonna share my screen in here and just play around with Miro. I want to just show a couple of tips and tricks that I think are gonna be helpful for you guys, especially for these last 2 days. Can everyone see that? That's a
Yes.
thumbs up.
Yes.
Sweet. So, how many of y'all have heard of the Pomodoro technique?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, is that Melvin?
I used it.
You use it? So you watched the video, or you have been using it?
No, I watched the video because I was having
Okay.
trouble.
With the focus? Yeah, for sure. So to kind of explain the Pomodoro technique to everyone, it's kind of as a tool for productivity. Most times out of the week, I actually leverage that technique in order to focus and get a lot of things done, especially when I have, if I'm working on something from a product standpoint, I just really want to focus my efforts and my time, or if I'm also working on some tight deadlines, right? And so one thing that's interesting about the Pomodoro technique, matter of fact, let's just watch the video a little bit here, and then we'll get into some pitch prep. Is that cool? I'm trying to zoom in.
yeah, it's a little hard to hear. You may need to pull
Is
up
it?
like the YouTube video.
It's hard to hear?
Yeah, you may need
Okay.
to head on over to YouTube.
Sweet. Give me 1 second. Is it better?
No, I can't hear it.
Don't worry about it. All right. Listen, check out that video real quick. I'll explain it to you in gist, right? You'll take 25 minutes of focus, right? You'll take 25 minutes of focus, and you'll dive in on a specific task. You won't touch your phone, any other distractions. And then you'll take a 5-minute break after you're done with the 25 minutes. Okay. Then you'll hop back in another interval of 25 minutes, do the same thing again on another task, and then go for 5 minutes of rest. And then you do that 2 more times before you take an extended period of rest of 25 minutes, right? Now you can set the Pomodoro technique, well, at least the app that I'm actually utilizing, you can set that to any time that you want, right? Let's say you have to build your concentration time and your times of focus. Well, for me, let's say you have to build your times of concentration and focus. It allows you to adjust the time of 5, 10 minutes, 6 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever time you want, but then also keep your time interval locked in at 5 minutes. Okay. So it's a very good technique from a productivity standpoint. I love it. Just a quick funny story. So Justin Greasy, our head of design, we were working on a project a while back, and I had to write the copy for the website. So Justin said, I said, cool, I'll have that done by tonight. He said, no way, dude, you won't. I said, okay. So how much money do you want to put on it? And so he said, I'm gonna put up 90. I said, that's a random number, but let's do it. And the way that I beat him in this challenge was literally because of the Pomodoro technique. I just put on the Pomodoro technique, one of the DJ sets from Solection, and just cranked it out. And he was pretty shocked and wild that it happened like that. But anyways, check that out when you get a chance. In Miro, you can check out the Pomodoro technique, and it lives right in there in the Wellness Center. All right, sweet. Pitching. Y'all ready to go? Y'all got to give me some life this morning. I'm giving you my all. I got to get some life this morning. There we go, Greta. I appreciate you.
Okay.
Good stuff. Okay, listen. So what do we know about pitching? How do we think about it? right? Like, what do we know about pitching before I get into the presentations?
We are selling something in a pitch.
Okay, selling something in a pitch. What else are we doing?
Persuading.
Persuading. Okay. What else? What else?
Trying to give like best understanding of your product to the
Trying to get a best understanding of your product. Good. Good, 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 good. What else? Cool. All those answers are good, solid, right? How I want us to think about pitching is more so truly about storytelling, like precise storytelling, right? I think you have the blend of like the sales element where it's very focused on, hey, these are some key pieces of like information about what we do, how we do it, our product, how it differentiates the marketplace and all those things, but wrapped in a story that's continually focused around the end user and the problem and how your solution begins to meet that problem is the best solution for that user. Then you can really begin to kind of focus on weaving these elements of a story in order to make everything work. I'm going to share my screen here and we're just going to go ahead and get into it. And then we'll just get into some questions after that. Sounds good? Great. Amira, thank you for being with me. Okay. So one thing you'll see as I'm going through this presentation, okay, one thing you'll see is that we're going to have this presentation is going to be available for you within Red House, within Miro, but also too, we're going to provide you a template of how we actually want you to really begin to tell your story or share your pitch for Friday. Okay. As you all know, you have 5 minutes to pitch. The judges have 5 minutes to ask questions. And so, and theoretically, 5 minutes is actually a lot of time, but it's also not a lot of time. Okay? So we want to be precise. We want to think through our presentation in a very clean and clear way. And we want to have enough pitch to be dangerous. All right? So again, the structure, 5 minutes of presentation, 5 minutes of Q&A, as I stated. But one thing I want you all to think about, like even before you're building your presentation is, who is my audience, right? And Dean's gonna go ahead and let us know who our audience is, but think about this even from an imaginative perspective, even like beyond the judges, right? Who's the audience that you're actually sharing this product with, this service with, that you're trying to persuade, or just really trying to share information for them to make a more informed decision, which hopefully leads out to be your service or your product, right? What are their expectations? Very important question, right? And then my encouragement would be to take these questions and put them in Miro and just start answering them collectively as a team, because then you can kind of get a sense of where everybody's thought processes and mindset is, okay? Last but not least, how can they help me accomplish my goals? So if you're pitching to judges, right, as Dean will kind of share who our judges will be, then we'll let you know, you'll gain a sense of an understanding of, okay, hey, how can they help you accomplish your goals, right? For your project, for your startup, for the business, whatever that may be, maybe whatever you're pitching, okay? The number one goal is that your story leaves the room, right? Meaning that when I pitch, when I share like my company and what I do, then that story of that which we told, it continues to be spread amongst the people who were in the room. So audience member. Example, so a great example of this is that last week's, not last week's, but was it last week's? I feel like 2 weeks ago now, our BDX on civil innovation, we had one team which created the product, the new 911. Like that story has now left that room, right? It left demo day, and now we're still talking about it. Dean and I are still talking about it. There's an investor who now wants to speak about it. Like we still use that story as a reference point, right? Everything from their visualizations to their creation, their presentation, their preparation. That story is now leaving the room. So you want to make sure that your story is concise, it's digestible, but it's also memorable. And I'll show you all a story. I'll show you all a pitch that Ito and I did, which we took a huge risk on, but we knew the story was going to leave the room. We knew it was going to be memorable. All right. So what are like the elements of a good story? Okay. So you have a theme. All right. And your theme is like and I'll just go through the list first and then we'll kind of break it down. You have a theme, you have a concept, okay? You have a hero and you have a villain, okay? You have an act one, which is like your hook, right? What is that incident? The act two is the build, okay? It's the escalation, all is lost, and then you have the breakthrough, okay? And then you have the act three is the payoff, which is like the climax, okay? So when you think about like the elements of a good story, you really want to think through kind of how you're building out that narrative and injecting a lot of the core elements that you're working on. So let's kind of break into it a little bit here. So let me dive in. Let me stop share real quick. I want to explain this a little bit more for you all, just so you have it. And I'm going to provide that context deeper into Notion so you guys can see it. But when you're thinking about that, when you're thinking about the theme, right? Your theme is literally like your meaning behind the story or the main topic that is to be addressed, okay? When you're thinking about that concept, it's more so like the origin of the story, right? The actual idea that the story is built around. Does that make sense? The hero is like who rides in on a roller coaster and like saves the day for the most part. But it's the roller coaster of the hook, it's the build, it's the payoff, okay? The villain is the one who puts that hero on the roller coaster and tries to throw him or her off during the ride, okay? Meaning that's the problem. It may be the market, it may be your competitors, okay? And so act one, kind of just going over this loosely, and I'm gonna put it in Miro for you guys. That hook is the overarching sequence of events that pulls the reader or listener into the story, right? So that could be anything that's related to the sizable market of what's happening, right? Like how large is the problem? What are the sequence of events that really begin to build that problem for you to begin to address, okay? Which is how you kind of hook people in as far as an interest. And also too, it's the hook of your product of what makes you unique or the differentiating factor, okay? Your act two, as far as your build, that is that overarching sequence of events that escalates the hero's trauma, right? So it's like, what is the thing that the villain, and I promise I'm going to share this all with you guys. I just want to run through it real quick. But that thinking about the villain as like the main act of the show, that's generally like the problem that your solution is attacking, right? And the problem that your solution is addressing, which is more so the hero. And of course, the hero always has to save people, right? That's where you kind of get to the breakthrough moment. And then you also talk about the benefits of what that actually looks like, okay? So I want to get to sharing my screen again real quick, just so you guys can see that. All right. So when you're going through like from a presentation standpoint, like design wise, we'll get more into story because we're gonna have some workshops to actually work with everybody on the story. You want to think about 5, 8, and 30. All right. You have 5 minutes, roughly 8 to 10 slides, and roughly about a 30 size font because it's visual. Okay. And that's a key thing. So like this is a size 30 size font. And you want it to be that way because you want everything to be legible from that standpoint. So really just begin to think about that element, right? So your template, you want to get their attention, okay, in the beginning, right? So example, so when we pitched the Act House with Techstars, our story was about highlighting like different teams, okay? So we brought them in with, hey, everybody like in their life or once in their life has always wanted to be a part of a team like this. And we showed a picture of Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman, right? So something that was relatable and also showed them issues with entrepreneurs who are always looking for a co-founder, right? So we showed visual elements of like different people calling out on Facebook, on Instagram, like looking for a co-founder to actually work in their startup, okay? And so we grab their attention in that way and really kind of use that attention to roller coaster into the problem itself, okay? And as we broke that down and built that out, one thing that we did afterwards is just kind of hit them with the solution, okay? So after you kind of have that clear statement of the problem, that should naturally flow into your solution. Okay, does that make sense? Hello, y'all tracking with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool, 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 cool. So now, now after you have the solution, you want to get into your business model. Your business model isn't just clearly like, hey, this is how we make money, but it should be more like how it works, right? Like, how does your solution work? And then how do you begin to sustain the solution? Meaning, hey, we do it like this, right? And this is what we're doing. And this is what our potential customer is paying for this or exchanging for this, right? Depending on the type of play that you have in your business model, all right? Afterwards, you're going to go into how big is your market. So meaning, what's the potential landscape of your persona that you can really begin to like go after, okay? And then of course too, you want to think about your traction and your roadmap. So for you all, your traction would be, hey, this is the progress that we've made. This is how we like talk to users. This is the feedback that we've had on the solution, and this is why we believe this is going to work. But then also to a roadmap showing like your development plan, right? So you know that within the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, hey, this is the roadmap we're going to have and focus on to develop, right? The actual product. And then 7, you want to showcase and highlight your dream star, like Marvel team. And those individuals, like, you want to pump them up. And you want to kind of speak about them within the ACT model, but also too thinking through like, hey, what contributions or skill sets they have or experience they have in order to take you guys to the next level. Does that make sense? Y'all tracking with me?
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Sweet. Good stuff. Okay, cool. So, and then of course your ask, right? So generally some people have Amir, talk to me a little bit about some more information on the ask, because I've seen a lot of our students do it differently. Like some people will pitch and ask for investment straight out the back, which I haven't necessarily seen as successful, but kind of give some examples of what successful asks that you've actually seen.
So it really depends on what you need as a business. So if you physically need like help, it's things like mentorship, a collaboration. You need to find X amount of developers. You need to find a designer to help you fully flesh out the concept. Something like that is more of like the personable and not necessarily if you're looking for money, if you're just looking to physically build a prototype and product. There's also like community partners that you can look for, like, hey, I want to talk to X amount of charities. I want to partner. Yeah, I want an introduction to the people that can get me where I need to go. But there's also ask for money, but say it's like, hey, I need like $100,000 to complete this. The only caveat with that is that you need to know what you're talking about when you ask for money. So you need to know, if you're asking someone for money, they need to know why you're asking for money, what that money will be used for, and if it's an accurate amount. So if it's not necessarily, if you're asking for $1 million for a product that really only needs like $50,000 to start, okay, then a judge is thinking, or an investor is thinking, well, you don't know how to accurately value your product. So if you're asking for money, make sure that you accurately value yourself and accurately value the amount that you need. What I personally do is just frame the amount of money that I need in terms of how to get a beta test started. So for example, I had a project where I was working with removing urban decay and blight in cities. And so I suggested $120,000 over 10 buildings over a certain year period in order to beta test this project. And it's like, that gives them a time, what I'll be doing, the project itself, and then also how much money I need. Yeah, what the money is exactly going to, so I physically understand. I think Justin Evans said yesterday that you can't fully accurately say how much money you need, but you can get close.
Yeah, that's real good. And I think too, like, lean on, as Dean said, like, lean on the student sword. So there's resources that you all need in order to kind of continue your project. Think about what those resources will be, right? And begin to kind of categorize that. Hey, from a resource standpoint, this is what we need, right? From a introduction standpoint, these are the 2-3 people that we need to be introduced to from a standpoint of partnership. And then from a financial standpoint, hey, here's this financial resources we need from a beta perspective, and this is where this money is going to and the impact it'll provide for us as we go down the road. Does that make sense on the ask, guys? Dean, you got anything to add to that, brother? You good? Sweet. All right, cool. Pro tips. Use personal stories, all right? In our first BDX, we had one, I think it was Kalo, if I'm not mistaken. Kalo was more of like a healthcare visual, like FaceTime, along with like doctor's notes and everything else like that. Like the team had a personal story of like that experience of not being able to see their loved one in the hospital during COVID, right? And during the quarantine. And so they tied in that personal story to really begin to share the problem, right? And also the solution, okay? Now, when we talk about the problem and also the solution, we're not stating like, hey, state, hey, this is my problem, and state, hey, this is my solution. I want to break you all outside of the framework of, hey, I need to do 2 + 2 = 4 and I'll get a good grade, right? This isn't about getting a good grade. This is more so about being able to tell story effectively and communicate effectively, all right? So when you're talking about your problem, it should already be obvious that you're talking about your problem, right? Or if you're talking about your persona and you say, well, hey, Katie has this problem, right? The judges are already hearing, the audience is already hearing, okay, hey, this is what Katie is struggling with, right? And this is how she's beginning to meet her, like, these are the solutions that are trying to help her meet her need, but this is why those solutions are inadequate, and this is why our solution is adequate, right? So you don't necessarily want to have like the problem as a big header and the solution as a big header. So avoid those headlines that say like total addressable market, the problem, the solution, the business model, right? Like be more conversational in your headlines to make sure they relate to the people, okay? So
I have a question about that.
yeah, Jared, go ahead.
So could you give me like examples on how I would like be more conversational instead of like more direct with my headlines?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll give you an example. So the bit like having the title business model on the top of your slide as a headline, you could probably translate to how it works, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Right. So how it works, and you could translate, you know, when it comes to revenue model or like pricing, you can translate that to offerings, right? Like there's ways to kind of communicate that that's just a little bit different from a head-on, like, hey, here's our price, here's X, here's Y, here's Z, to make it more conversational. As long as you're blatantly communicating X, Y, and Z, you should be fine from a standpoint of people being able to understand the information.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. And of course, last but not least, have an ask at the end. So Amir and I, we just talked about that. Amir, thank you for those examples. They were spot on and they were pretty clear. Awesome. Okay, now Q&A. This is where everybody drops the ball, right? Like genuinely drops the ball. Q&A is the most important thing that you can actually begin to do. It's where you begin to make up for the things that you didn't state in your presentation, okay? Like, it's where you pick up a lot of ground, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that you should leave some things out of your presentation in hopes that a judge will ask the right question for you to actually address that, right? And it doesn't mean that you just like don't practice like your presentation in order to like, oh, we'll get it right in Q&A, right? My humble opinion is do not think like that at all, right? In Q&A, like it's very, very, very important for a couple of things. There is the professional way to respond to an answer that you do not know, okay? One of my favorite ways of actually like sharing that sharing that answer is, hey, you know what, Dean? I'm actually not sure about that. Let me do some checking on that and research, and let me get back to you in about 24 hours, right? Who can tell me how I framed my response?
And you could also thank them for the question.
Right. Give me 1 second. Who can tell me how? Who can tell me how I framed that response?
Like how you would frame it in a pitch competition?
No, how I actually just framed that response that I provided to Dean.
Oh, I mean, you made it feel like it was very like insightful, and then you said you were gonna research about it and then respond back to him in a timely manner.
Exactly, right? Like, Dean, you know what? That's a good question. I actually don't know that answer, right? But let me do some research. Let me get back to you in a timely manner. Okay. Now, having communication and addressing like your judges with the questions, to Amir's point, you want to say thank you for that question, right? You either say thank you for that question or that's a good question. It's just really affirming and acknowledging like the question that they asked. Okay. And that's always key. And then you get back to the space of, hey, like, I don't have the answer for that right now. It's some things that we've been thinking about, but let me actually get back to you in roughly about a week, 5 days, 24 hours, whatever it needs to be, to actually provide the answer. Now, you need to follow up in the time frame that you said that you were going to follow up on. Okay. That's important. That's where you start to build like a true relationship with the judge, with the angel investor, with the VC, in order to actually like take that relationship the next level. Another thing too is like, even with your customers, still should be the same type of Q&A responses, right? And really, if you can build more inroads with your customers or your future customers, that means that you're building towards more revenue, which is way more important than actually having an investor. Okay? Does that make sense, everyone?
Got you.
Sweet. Okay? As you all can see, those tactics are also ways to stall and also ways to kind of like just make up for the fact that you just don't know. It's okay. Additionally, my humblest request is if you have a techie on your team and your question is related to the technology, okay? Generally, it's wise for the techie to answer that question, especially if it's of complexity and dealing with the actual technical infrastructure, okay? That's very important. So before you all start getting into Q&A, my humble opinion in your preparation is, okay, hey, if we have this type of question, who wants to take it? If we have this type of question, who wants to take this question, right? And it doesn't mean that that person is the only person that answers, but my best advice is like to stay in your lane. If you see somebody about to drown in their swim lane, then you go help them, right? But you want to stay in your swim lane to make sure that you are answering the questions appropriately and that you're not overlapping each other and you don't look disconnected as a team. Sweet. So let's take a look at an example from a pitch from my good friends at Techstars. A starter actually had a pretty solid pitch. Let's check it out. Allow. Can you hear that?
Not really.
Not really. All right. We got some audio problems. Okay, so I'm not going to force us through that, but what I'm going to do is send this presentation to you over Teams to just have it very fast, but go in and look at those examples because they'll show you exactly like examples of those presentations. I wanted to actually spend some time and like talk and walk through them, but just go ahead and like take a look at those examples and then just hit us on Teams so we can just have a conversation or have a call if you have questions. Sounds good? Cool.
Will this be on Red House?
Red House, yeah, it'll be on Red House, and also we'll send a link through Teams, but it'll be on Red House. In the Connect channel within Teams, there's now the Red House like tab, so you can go directly into Teams and access Red House.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Sweet. Cool.
I wanted to say something.
Go for it, Amir.
It's especially important for the techies to be able to answer technological questions, or the people that, you know, if you don't have a techie or something like that, it's really important that you understand the technology that you're utilizing. So for example, I think I brought up that previously I did a hackathon with Johnson & Johnson, and we had a specific blockchain specific pitch. And so it's actually my boyfriend that was the techie kind of with Keyshawn. And the person heard the word blockchain and was like, okay, well, if you're using blockchain, you got to know what you're talking about. So he asked him around like 10 questions about blockchain. And luckily, he was well researched in what he was doing and was able to answer those questions, but have that same level of expectation that you need to understand the technological requirements of your application. And for example, if you say that you're going to be using AI, what will your AI be doing? What kind of network will you be using? And you just need to have those requirements before you step out in front of judges, because if there's a tech-based judge, they're going to maybe ask you more questions about that. And because sometimes people use things that they don't necessarily understand in order to seem like it's the right thing to do. But it may be best for you to understand what your technology does, why it does what it does, and then also how to explain that to another person, be able to explain that to another person that may not understand the technology as much as you. And that's all I have. Oh, you're muted.
Marcus, you got something for us, brother? You always come with the great insights, man. I'm gonna keep pulling on you.
Sure. For the Q&A, sorry I joined a few minutes late, but
It's all
for
right.
the Q&A, it's going to be very important to have a solid understanding of the marketplace, have research around potential buyers, understanding that the research around it, you can use Pew Research is a good tool or free
Absolutely.
resource where you can go and get those facts, and you just have to have a solid understanding of demographics, marketplace, things of that nature. In addition to the hook that Dom was talking about, it's important to have that personal story and have a hook that's associated with it. And yeah, some ways you can do some hooks to get someone's attention is you can tell the personal story, and if you can tie it back to your product. Like one way I like to get some folks' attention is to say how much money we can save them or how much money we could make. So for an example, you can tell your story and you can say, how would you like to increase your sales by 25%? And that gets the ears popped up and like really grabs the attention of the listeners, because they want to say, well, how can I increase my sales by 25%? And how are you going to help me do that? So that kind of cues up going down the next steps of your pitch and presentation.
Love it, love it, love it.
Sorry, I didn't have my boom down. So did you guys hear that okay?
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay.
You heard it all well. Yeah. Dakar, you got any thoughts, brother?
For me, I know I talked to some people when we had like our mentor, and I think that storytelling is key. Like kind of like actually bringing like your experience. I know when some people ask me about like their project, doing my one-on-one, mentoring, and I asked them like how they come up with the idea, and then a lot of them came up with the idea from like personal experiences. So like that kind of like brings like value to your solution, your what you're providing, because like you know that this is something that works and it's something that happened in your life and it's amongst like other people around you. So that storytelling key, like remember like how you came up with this idea and bring that in there, and like that enriches the idea and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really do. There's one thing that I found very useful when we were pitching the Act House in the early stages was that I would always speak about just my experience of not actually having co-founders or team members that were skillfully competent, but then also show the show the effects of where our team went when I had a creative jump on board and when I had a techie jump on board from a standpoint of rapid prototyping and development, right? It always adds value when you can tie in your own personal experience of where you were, like as that solo founder, pinching pennies, trying to make some things work. And so whatever experience you have that's connected to that problem, be sure to tie that in as Dakaria stated, all right? Students, questions, talk to us. We roughly got 20 more minutes.
I had a question about trying to figure out the price of what my product is worth. I was listening to you guys saying that we shouldn't know exactly, but we should be close. And I was just thinking, I'm trying to figure out where I would even start to figure out researching where to find how much I should be asking on my platform or whatever.
Yeah. So I think a couple of key things are going to be, one, what is the market paying for it? I think that's a very like elementary way of kind of finding out like, hey, what's going on? So say if you're working on a product, I'm just going to use like a consumer packaged good. Let's say like it's a razor, right? It's Gillette. Well, if I want to look at Gillette, if I'm coming into the market and I want to see, I need to look at Gillette, Bic, Bevel, like Harry's, like and see all the different razors and see where they're priced, right? Then I get a sense of, okay, hey, what type of materials are they using and why is their pricing the way that it is? A lot of that, like a lot of your operations cost or your cost of goods sold is going to impact the actual top line of your price point, okay? And depending on your distribution channels, whether you're going directly to consumer or also whether you're going directly to, or you're going through like B2B channels like a retail hub in order to actually sell your product, you have to think like factor in pricing considerations there, right? What you see now most people doing out the gate, especially these upstarts in the CPG space, is that they are spending a lot of time like baking in the pricing of the retailer on like upfront. So therefore, when they go to the retail market, it's the same price. So it's literally just another marketing channel if I'm selling it in Target comparatively than direct to consumer, right? Because I know that there's the foot traffic in Target is way larger than the foot traffic that I'm picking up online. So, you know, one, get a sense of what's going on in the universe with other companies and what they're doing. Get a sense of what your own cost of goods sold are. And then after you begin to factor in the financials, you begin to understand, okay, hey, we need to make X margin on this product in order to actually sustain the business, right? So that's how you really want to begin to think about it, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, and there's also models online on how to do this stuff, like cost analysis, that can kind of give you step-by-step guides. I would recommend to also think about like, you know, how much will it take to actually build this? How much will it take to actually pay yourself? How much will it take to run servers, and just factor that all into a cost, because like an Amazon server is going to cost money as well. Paying developers, having it on the app store, if it is an app. But there's step-by-step guides online on how to do a cost analysis as well. So I would recommend to take a look at those.
That's why they should be building in Azure, because for students it's free.
Exactly.
And for startups, we actually give credits, and they have about 25 free services, and we give them credits towards development if they're in our program.
All right, Dean, let me send me my credits now.
And I was sharing with my team.
Marcus, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Melvin,
sure.
is your answer clear, brother? Question answered? Thumbs up? Okay, solid. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that I was mentioning with my team that I met with yesterday that for their particular challenge and for their particular pitch that they're moving forward with, a lot of this stuff or all of it could be built on top of Microsoft's product stack and Microsoft solutions. So, and as Dean just mentioned, free is good, and Azure is essentially available for students. So that gives them an avenue if they want to carry it forward to build a prototype and kind of carry the idea forward.
Love it.
Just to tag along on that, I'm an Azure guy as well. So if you do want to explore that way, reach out to me. I can talk about like hosting your websites or your applications inside of Azure. We can get it and talk about that conversation.
Car, I love it. I'm trying to reach out to Kevin and I've been messaging back and forth on Teams about doing a masterclass on Azure. Like, see if we can actually do something like that. So let's make sure we chat about that as well, because I want to make sure that they get exposed to it and know how to kind of maneuver within the platform.
Hey, Dominic, even after the hackathon, if they want to continue with us, you know, we can arrange with you, of course, some master classes where we can bring in technical resources from Roxy's team, in addition to Kevin to help.
So shoot, let's do it in August then. We're setting it up right now.
Okay.
We'll do it in August. Let's book it for the week of August 10th. Dakari, Dean, Kevin, and Roxy, we're gonna make it happen. It's done.
Hey guys, this is Kevin. I think that'll work.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey guys, sorry I've been missing action this week. Been a tough week transitioning, but yeah, I'm here and engaged. Let me know, pick the date and time, and we're good to go.
I appreciate it, Kevin. Awesome,
yes, sir.
Awesome. I love collaboration on site. I love it. You just get it done. Amir just took a note. Dominic's crazy the week of August 10th. Okay, whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Jared, Trinae, Devin, Peace, Mercedes, Melvin, Jada, questions?
I just want to say I really like that idea of a master class of using Microsoft products, so that'd be a great idea, and I'll definitely look forward to that. Hopefully I can join.
You will. You'll be there.
So Dominic, are you ready for me to share
Go for
the
it,
information?
Dean. Go for it.
So students, part of the pitch competition this year, we actually selected industry partners that provided actual problems that you guys, if you were willing, they provided problems that you could solve, and they are real world problems. One of the entities was NASA. So NASA will be part of the judging for this competition, along with USDA, who provided 2 different industry solutions for you guys to solve. So I'm excited to have them both participating this year. Like we said, we're going to do this annually along with the Imagine Cup. So the Imagine Cup will have about 17 different companies that will be part of our judging panel throughout the 3 months that leading up to the first round of the Imagine Cup. So stay tuned, guys. This is going to be a excuse me, a roller coaster ride, I should say, for most of you who are not used to the judges being of actual industry judges. So look forward to your participation. And like I said, I've been looking at your Miro's whiteboards, and I'm very anxious to see what you guys have created.
Thank you. This is Mercedes. I know you were asking for feedback. So I'm actually a mentor from Microsoft. And so just picking back on a little bit of tips for the pitches, my recommendation is really from a soft skill perspective to really make sure that you bring your confidence to the table. And what tends to help you build your confidence is practicing. So, I think that sometimes we don't have a lot of time to prepare, but that preparation actually will stand out based on how much you practice and how much you actually show confidence. And another piece is knowing your audience. So if Dean is saying that that NASA will be there, and I think you said USDA, having an understanding about their industry is also helpful because you want the people to have some type of connection to what you're talking about. So those are my tips.
Mercedes, that was perfect. And I like the fact that you kind of mentioned that, hey, they may not have a lot of time to prepare. So kind of like to help you guys troubleshoot through that, if there's a portion of your pitch that you already kind of have and see clearly, just focus on writing that down, right? Like for myself, I genuinely sketch out each slide before I actually focus and getting in PowerPoint and Keynote to actually build it out, okay? And so I think that's been pretty helpful for myself. Figure out what helps you along the way of kind of like practicing throughout instead of just like trying to find this one concentrated amount of time to practice. again, you're moving and you're developing in real time. So be sure to kind of practice along the way, and especially kind of just say the words that you're thinking about from a presentation standpoint to your team members, and just ask them, how does this track? Okay. If it tracks well, or if it tracks well with your customers, write that note down. Then go on to the next segment, right? So make sure you're practicing along the way. That preparation that Mercedes talked about is vitally important. It shows up. Like, whether you're a young innovator, seasoned innovator, like, it shows up when you're in the room making those pitches and making those presentations. All right. Any other questions? 'Cause y'all gotta get busy.
This is not a question. I was wondering if you can go the rest of the pitch competition without saying the word standpoint.
Me?
Mhm.
Let's see. How much you want to put something up on it?
You know what?
So here's
I
the thing.
do,
If
but
you win first, second, or third place, okay, and whatever your prize is, and if I go the rest of my presentations without saying the word standpoint, then I receive your prizes. How about that?
I don't think I like that, boss.
That got
just
really
pieces,
dangerous.
just pieces.
Oh, just pieces. That's fine.
Yeah, just pieces. I know y'all on the same team, but just pieces. Yeah, I'm just gonna take a piece. Is that cool?
Oh geez, I feel really sure about this, but on
Now,
the
Mercedes
off
just talked about confidence now, right? She just talked about confidence. It has to exude when you're making these pitches and you're making these declarations out here.
this was meant to be a tease, but this got real.
It got real. Listen, it's just like Q&A. You got to step up. You got to be ready. You got to be prepared for the moment. You got to
Okay,
be
well, the
prepared for
thing
the
is,
moment.
how do I know if you're not saying it when you're at home?
Well, the presentations are recorded, right? So you can go back on Red House and evaluate and look to see if I actually said the word standpoint. You just got to do your homework. Dakari, I think that's a fair trade. What do you think, Dakari?
I would have said
I think it's really
2%
solid.
better because I don't think he says standpoint as much as 2%
But the thing
better.
is, to be fair, what does she get if you do say it?
Exactly.
There we go. So I stated what I wanted. Peace, you have to state what you wanted. I made my ask. Pitching in real time. I love it. Come on. We're going to make it a
I
lesson.
was going to say
Make
you
a
could
good
double
piece.
whatever it is I
Yeah,
win.
he got to double it. What you mean?
You
ask for
gotta
that.
double it. I like that.
So whatever her prize is, if I say standpoint, I have to double it.
That sounds solid to me.
Is that what you said, Jared?
Yeah.
I like it. I'm not mad about it. Peace, what do you think? Peace is a former Act House fellow, so she has these privileges to challenge me like this. I love it.
Oh,
Peace,
geez.
are we going with it? Digital handshake?
You know what? Oh, geez. This is so, I feel like I put myself in a position, but yeah, sure. Hopefully my partner is not mad at me.
It's recorded. It's recorded. It's recorded. All right. Keep me honest. Dakar, you'll be the judge.
Oh, I'm listening.
And we'll make it happen. All right. So starting after this call, I can no longer say the word standpoint. Cool?
Sounds good.
I love it. All right, guys. Happy building.
All right,
Happy
guys.
building.
See you later.
So at the end, I'll tell you guys when to take a break, and I'll also post the last deliverable, which is just your pitch. That'll be posted midday, and that'll be due at 5 o'clock on Friday, 5 o'clock EST, 4 o'clock CDT. All right, everybody, have fun.
Thank you. Later.